Hello, hamjambo tena. My name is Mwaikwasi and this is the Mwaikwasi Mic, the biggest political show at the Kenyan coast and very soon in Africa and beyond. Watch the pace. In case you're yet to subscribe. Usikubali kuachwa nyuma. Hapa ndo kituo cha siasa. Now, a lot has been happening politically. In our country, there's been a lot of political formations, political events, and in today's episode, we wish to analyze and discuss these political happenings. So in today's episode, this is the State of the Nation address, and I'm not alone. I'm honored to have my brother, my long-term friend, and political analyst. Karibu ndugu.
Thank you.
Jitambulishe tena.
The part where I'm a political analyst. My name is Paul. I'm a Kenyan citizen. I'm very proud to be a Kenyan, I would say that. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I hope we enjoy this
Exactly.
conversation.
Karibu sana.
Not just for us, but for other people as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, now, my brother, a lot has been happening politically.
Yes.
So what has specifically caught your eye?
Like you've said, a lot is happening.
Yeah.
Different areas, different people doing different things for different reasons. Before we came, you were mentioning something about, where this country is headed. One would say, personally, my view is with a lot that is happening, I would want to imagine that we are not really in the right direction, depending on how you look at it, especially where we are coming from. One would say that there was a time in this country where things used to work. You would wake up in the morning and then think this direction. You'd wake up and see people who are at least fairly honest. You had a country where there was direction, there was vision, there was purpose. You remember things like Vision 2030, leaders kept promises. You had a president who would tell you we'll have free primary education, and then it happens.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I don't want to talk about 6 months, but a lot of things are happening.
Tumeweka.
So nowadays we just wake up and you don't know what is going on. You just wake up and you unasikia breaking news. So there's nothing you can put your finger to and say, this is the direction we are taking, this is where we are going. And again, it seems like, people's lives are becoming more difficult day by day. People are losing their businesses, people are closing businesses. Most of the times when we talk about closing business, we talk about big guys, corporations, you mentioned the internationals. But now there's small businesses just around the corner. The people owning boutiques, they're closing down. Restaurants are closing down. People who own shops, very small shops, they're closing down. People are losing jobs. Sometimes one would think if a big company closes down, we are losing an accountant. But also a cashier is also somebody who's employed at that boutique or somebody who's taking care of that boutique. So a lot is happening. A lot of people, and people are angry and frustrated, and they have a right to be. Partly because the kind of things that are happening are not about them. We're in a country where we worry more about politicians and what the politicians are doing in their future, instead of politicians worrying about what we should, caring about the things we should be caring about. You hear news.
Maybe to cut you short before you come back.
Yes.
We have talked about businesses closing down, people not doing good financially.
Yes.
But come to think of it, where did the rain start beating us?
I think
because when I pull you back kidogo, ule mswada wa fedha tulipinga tukakashifu. Kuna mwingine umeletwa.
Yes.
Ushapata. But huwa sasa tuseme bado impact yake hatujaanza kuisikia, although ina impact yake pia tutaigusia.
Generally speaking, the finance bill was the conversation was being driven by young people. And I get it in two ways. You're looking at the struggle. Me and you, we've gone to school. The advantage we have is we can read, think, analyze, think things through before we make decisions. That's the advantage we have as young people. So we were able to read. It's not that it was the first finance bill. They have been there before. But at least for us, each generation, free primary education, we had the awareness and the ability to read and understand. And we realized that there were things that we didn't quite agree with. And even the problem would even arise where you say you have your voice, you're saying something and it's being ignored. I think that was one of the biggest problems, because I think before the entire process, your demonstration, there were people who were saying this is not right. And people felt they were not being heard. And therefore they had to take that step where they would go to the streets. But again, it brings about the dynamics in the population that we have in this country. It seems there are two populations. There's one that is, not really concerned with how things move, and the others who are like, we should be involved. And the beauty is, it exposed that it brought about the idea that we as young people are willing to be involved, and we understand that democracy is a verb and not a noun. And for you to be part of that process, you have to come out, you have to participate, you have to be involved, you have to interrogate. That is the beauty and the value of the education that we got. So maybe perhaps why back in 2007, maybe we could have demonstrated against the finance bill at 2007 or somewhere around 2006. But at least we are here, and we appreciate that we are here. Where it started beating us I think this country started going the wrong direction in 2013. That's what I would think.
Why 2013?
After Kibaki left, the lies started in 2013. I remember that time we were being told things about laptops for standard 1. I think much of those lies started there.
But the laptops came.
I never saw laptops. I had my brother I didn't see laptops. Did I see laptops?
I didn't see laptops.
I didn't see laptops. Maybe there were gadgets. They were like, I have my 6-year-old. I buy
It was
them.
tablets. It was tablets.
They were tablets. They were told laptop. A laptop and a tablet are two different items. If I go to the shop,
at least they came.
They didn't come. Yeah. But they were saying for all. And then I never saw them personally. I had a brother who was at that time in standard 1. I never saw them, and they were like, these are laptops, because they were marketed as laptops. You can't tell somebody you bring a laptop and then you bring something like a tablet that the kids used to play with. That's not a tablet. That's not a laptop.
It's not a laptop.
It's not a laptop. I think lies started from there, and we have normalized lying, and people like blaming Kenyans a lot and say, Kenyans and corrupt. Kenyans are very good people. They are honest people. They are hardworking. Only that the system doesn't enable them to be, to be good people all the time. But I think they are very nice, good, hardworking people. It's only that the system is working against them to the extent that they have to find ways to survive within that system. So I would say people are surviving generally as we speak. And as you've said, where the rain started beating us, I think it was in 2013, especially after Kibaki. If history were to be written, one would say perhaps Kibaki was one of the best presidents. Despite what reservations that people may have, but I think he did his best at that time. And comparatively, he's one of the few people we remember who kept his promises.
His promises. Okay,
So the
maybe
rest
to cut you short,
Yes.
before we come back to Kibaki, let's look at Ruto now. Before you look at post-Ruto.
Yes.
For Ruto now, when people compare him with the former president,
Yes.
Uhuru Kenyatta,
Yes.
people feel that Uhuru was doing better than Ruto. Do you hold the same thought?
I'm saying it's a system. Things are becoming worse as we go forward. So if you compare, I've seen this argument. One, a president is not elected to be used as a comparison for the previous one. So you don't come into the position and say, so you're doing so badly. And then people say, oh, but the other guy did bad or did better. But again, there's also another argument that every person who is a former president did better than the one that is there, because the current person who's there is the one who's taking the blame for what is happening right now. But generally, one would also argue in substance that the problem with this government, they lie a lot. They like open lies. Uongo ndio mingi. Generally tu uongo. Na ni uongo ambayo you can look and say, hata kama wewe ni mjinga, hata kama ukanyaga standard 1.
Unapenda kusikiza.
Unaweza angalia. Unaangalia unasema hii ni uongo. The other guy didn't lie that much.
Can you quote the lie? Maybe for emphasis, can you quote the lies? Instead of just saying broadly lies. Can you quote the lies?
NTV has documented 6 months. What else do you want to 6 months time? And they were referencing the Nithi Bridge. They're saying 6 months time. What you were told utapigiwa simu, utakuwa unapiga simu ya bure. You were told, women were told things about free sanitary towels. I've not seen that.
Gas.
There was gas here 300.
300, yeah.
This is open lies. They just open. Like kitambo unajua ulikuwa unadanganywa, mnaambiwa, hey, you know tutafanya. But they were not specific, so you couldn't put. But these ones you are lying, and then you are lying. People have records. That time maybe you could lie in 90s. People didn't care because people had a lot of things to do. Nowadays you can remember what the president was saying when he was campaigning in 2019, 2021. So there's a lot of open lying, and that's a problem.
That's okay,
sometimes maybe. You don't. Sometimes wao wanasema heri usiahidi mtu kitu ndio usibebe lawama ya ile ahadi usipotekeleza. So I think problem number 1 ni uongo ndio mingi. Na hiyo ndio shida yetu imekuwa hivyo. Ndio unasema siasa yetu inabebwa na uongo. Kitambo ulikuwa hata ukitaka kutongoza msichana unamdanganya, nitakupeleka. Siku hizo wamejanjaruka. Hata Wakenya nao pia wamejanjaruka. You lie, but there are limits to the number of lies that you are lying. So the problem with this one, these guys, they want to overpromise, but they don't match their deeds with the promises that they're making. And that, I think that is the difference that people are seeing. And then coupled with people's lives becoming even more difficult because things are getting more expensive as we go along. People are getting it hard to afford basic things as we go along. Even young people don't want to marry now. Starting a family is very expensive. You look at people young people especially not having even backups for themselves. You know, in the older generations, somebody had a backup. You know, alikuwa akifika at a certain age, the parent or the father sees them in getting married, they will not donate hizo ng'ombe za harusi and all that. Pia amepewa shamba.
Kuna mahali pa kuanzia.
Hakuna mahali pa kuanzia. Hata akienda town, akihustle, maisha ikimshinda, anajua mimi niko na mahali naeza enda. Nowadays we meet young people in town wanaendesha tuk-tuk here and there. Lakini ukimuuliza nakwambia mimi, bro, mimi sina backup. Because if things don't work right now, I have nowhere else to go. Reason being, hata wale waliachiwa mashamba ambao ni wazazi wetu wengi waliyauza. And they sold and they did nothing.
Exactly.
So things are becoming more difficult.
Exactly.
So when people are becoming more aware and they're saying, wait, my life is becoming more difficult as I go along. Starting a family is becoming very difficult. You know, our parents had it easy because, you know, people like Kibaki would start free primary education. That is helping a family kupeleka watoto shule. Sahi tuko na CBC, university sarakasi ni zile. Like, how are we going to manage raising our own children?
But
a few years to come.
You think, from what I look at it from my point of view,
yes,
kupeleka watoto shule si issue kubwa.
Yes.
Sawa? But what happens after they're out of the education system?
It's
because
difficult.
When you look around now, there are a lot of frustrated young people, unemployed graduates. Unapata mtu amesoma mpaka mtu anaenda town anaamsha kibao. Anasema bwana mimi nimesoma mpaka mahali fulani lakini hakuna any opportunity.
I know people who have degrees and they are fishermen. Mimi I did BCom. Sijui kwa nini watu wa BCom wengi wako huko hawana kazi. But I know BCom people. I have friends who are doing car wash. Ya rafiki yangu amefanya car wash na amesoma BCom. University, Kenyatta University. I know very many people wanaendesha tuk-tuk hapa kwa barabara who have degrees.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating in a way, but it's also a problem we have to direct at the kind of system that we have politically. And people say, you know, I've seen some leaders saying, you know, vijana mjitumi, you know, you're lazy. I've even seen sometimes peers for youth. Akisema, you know, young people and advising young people on how to... Kenyans are hardworking people. You walk around here, you see very many young people doing the little they can do to make something off of themselves. Yeah. But the problem is the opportunities are limited. And it starts with the system. Let me just give you an example. We have a kind of system that makes it very difficult for a very hardworking person to succeed. You want to start a business down there, utaambiwa ulipe license ya kuweka hata TV kwa biashara yako. There's a license for everything. When you're being squeezed through licenses and regulations, my friend, hata kuanza inakuwa shida. That's difficult. That is a system in itself that prohibits you from going far because opportunities of employment, they are limited. that's a realistic the situation as it is, not just around here. But also you need to create an environment that enables somebody to be able to even start something on their own and have that fair chance ya succeed.
Succeed mbele.
Kusucceed. But ukimwekea vikwazo kwamba hata ile ya kuanza kidogo anaweza anza, inakuwa changamoto yeye kuanza. How do you want that person to succeed?
Okay, maybe to pose a question to you, my brother. We have talked a lot, and from what I'm depicting, or from what I have from my chest, is that we are at a wrong trajectory. We are going, if kama ni mlima tulikuwa tuko kwa mlima, badala ya kupanda tufike pale kileleni, sisi
tunaenda chini.
Sasa, do you trust in this regime?
I don't trust it. Personally, I don't.
So are you one term or two term?
I'm not saying one term or two term. Because let me say this. Let me say why it's not. It's not an issue of whether it's William Ruto or not. It's not an issue of one term or two term. Whether you are one term or two term, you have the same material needs. You have the same problems. You are struggling with rent. You're struggling with school fees. You're struggling with this or that. We have the same problems.
Yeah.
Whether you are Kikuyu, Luo, Kalenjin, whichever tribe you are, you have the same problems. You are struggling with the same issues that I am struggling with as whether I'm one term or two term, or whichever side you're on. Number two, we have had this two-sided conversation, not just this election. We had in 2022, we had Azimio, Kenya Kwanza. The other time we had NASA, these are Jubilee. These two sides will never end. But one of the problems we have is we never really focus. That's what I'm saying. We never really focus on what the people care about. We are focused on, is it one term or two term? Is it, do we have, is this person, how will Gachagua be after this? How, instead of them sitting and worrying, tutasaidia watu afford aje maisha, ni sisi tunashangaa, Sifuna atatoka. Sasa Sifuna yake itakuwaje akitoka ODM? And for them, what they are doing is they are basically planning their next, how they're going to survive the next phase of politics, the next election. And instead of them thinking, hey, how do we assist these guys? It is us as voters who are worrying, who are worried. Hey, na hii ODM, na hii UDA, na huyu Hassan Omar, na yule Babu Owino. It's us who are worrying about politicians. They don't care. They'll come and they do their drama, and then we say, that's, some people call it political strategy.
Aura.
That's aura. He has what is it called? There's something called charisma.
Charisma, yeah.
Maraga hana charisma. This one he cannot succeed because you need this, you need that. He does not have this. We are worrying about the interest. That's why I say, when you say politics is a game of interest, it has never been about the people's interests. It is the interest of the politician. That's why mwanasiasa akihama leo atoka kambi ende kambi, he'll say only a fool does not change his mind. There's always an excuse for the politicians are protected generally, whichever move they make. Akihama anaambiwa there's only a fool doesn't change his mind. Politics is a game of interest. We create excuses for them because we care more about the politician than the politician caring about what they can do to make our lives a little bit better.
Okay, so maybe
so it's reversed.
Yeah,
in an ideal system. That's why I say the issue of system. It's reversed in such a way that instead of then caring that young person ambaye amemaliza shule na hana degree, tunaweza msaidia namna gani hata kama hatapata kazi, lakini ile skill ambayo, kwa ile opportunity ambayo ameenda na university akapata ile exposure, akajua 1 or 2, anaweza jisaidia namna gani naye akajiwezesha. Tuka create environment ya yeye akajiwezesha. Ni sisi tunakaa wenye tumeenda university tunaanza kushangaa, Sifuna atafanya namna gani?
Exactly. So maybe
so it's a system.
Okay, it's okay. To paint a picture.
Yes.
We have William Ruto here.
Yes.
So, and looking from the potential opponents.
Yes.
Kuna kambi, although it's yet to kuja pamoja, but kuna probability ya kuja pamoja. First of all, before we go forward, from my point of view, mimi sioni kama wanaweza kuja pamoja. I don't know if you hold the same thought.
No, it's for them. I think it would be an issue of ego.
Exactly.
And an issue of what they call interest.
Pardon, allow me to cut you and then I give you an opportunity. Because when you come to the issue of ego, exactly, mtu kama Kalonzo hawezi kubali kuwa deputy. Unapata? So who becomes the deputy? Kuna Sifuna, that same camp. Kuna Matiang'i. Unapata? tuseme hao ndo wanakaa most probably. Aya, Sifuna yeye atasema hakuna numbers, sisi ndo Sifuna.
zenye hazijakuwa confirmed.
Atasema tu ana numbers wave.
Wave si kura.
Sawa, sisi ndo Sifuna, sawa.
Ni
On
wangapi?
the other hand we have Matiang'i, ambapo Matiang'i from analysis is like he's being funded by
Yeah, he's a Jubilee candidate.
there's a Jubilee candidate, and we all know the person behind Jubilee.
Yeah, he's Uhuru, former president.
Exactly.
Uhuru
So Uhuru, are you seeing what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Sa kunaweza kuwa kuna split pale, maana Uhuru anaza bulldoze candidate fulani, Gachagua pia ataki ya bulldoze wake. So watu hawatakaa katika kambi moja from my understanding.
Siasa ni competition for some people. I look at it from that point of view, the way it is structured. It's a competition and everybody wants a share of whatever comes after that competition. It's just a matter of who is comfortable with what. So whether their interest ya kuwa because their primary motivation ni kusema kwamba we want to remove President William Ruto. If that is their motivation and they are genuinely interested in that, then I think they will work together in that regard. Lakini kama kuna mtu anapiga hesabu zake zenye ziko beyond President William Ruto, then they would probably not work together. Because if somebody thinks and says, even if William Ruto wins in 2027, he will not be there in 2032. Then I have to wacha nitumie 2027 kujipanga 2032. Somebody could argue that way. So it's difficult for how they will decide, but from where what is seen now is they will eventually reach an agreement. From where I sit, they will have to agree.
So if they agree, nani atapeperusha bendera? Unaona nani akipeperusha bendera?
Kwa maoni yangu na mimi nimeona, I think Kalonzo should or will.
Exactly. I hold the same thought.
I think Kalonzo will, because he's one argues that he's the most senior person in that entire arrangement. He has experience in terms of government. He has been near the mountaintop severally, not successful, but he has been there. He has more of that. As regards Gachagua is impeached, so he can't run. Your story 10 years one is story two. Story two. Unless the courts overturn, which that as we speak, we are speaking about now. That's a story for another day. With Matiang'i he has 2 counties, Kisii and Nyamira. They have an accumulated number of around 700,000 votes. At the national level, they are not proven numbers. So numbers that are proven at least in Kalonzo peke yake na Gachagua, but Gachagua cannot run. So I think Matiang'i will, if he goes it alone, it's a risk. I don't know. He could get his numbers, but maybe he could think about 2032. Say maybe I'm going in for 2032, and then he goes alone. So it depends with who is playing what. But as regards to what is happening, I think Kalonzo stands a better chance as the candidate.
Exactly. Kalonzo stands a better chance because also when you look at it, he's currently, let's say, like the party leader.
He's a party
for
leader.
Azimio. Exactly. And what Azimio states is that the head is automatically a presidential candidate. So
but DCP is not in Azimio.
Exactly. I get there.
DCP is not in Azimio.
Let me tell
and
you
DCP
something.
has a sway.
Exactly. It has its way, but I want to bring you closely. Sawa. Pale Azimio kuna Jubilee. Sawa. Kuna Wiper. Tuko sapa kwa ambapo Jubilee si Matiang'i ishamuunganisha hapo. Kwa hivyo kumaanisha ni kama Matiang'i ametoka kwa mix kidogo. Alafu kuna Sifuna. Yuko wapi ODM yuko wapi?
Sifuna yuko ODM.
Haja resign chama boss.
Yuko ODM.
Haja resign chama.
He's ODM maybe as a member and an elected official of an elected member of the party.
Haja resign chama.
But
so the moment he resigns, we can say that hayuko ODM.
How do you resign from a party? How do you resign from a party?
Si you tender your resignation to the registrar
of political
parties.
Because your involvement in a party could be in 2 ways or 3 ways. One, you are a member. You're just a member. The way I'm a member of ODM. I'm not an official of ODM. So I could be an official, lose my official status, but still remain a member of the party.
Exactly.
But still as a member of the party, without that official tag, then I cannot purport to be representing the party in interests that do not involve the party. So if I'm going to associate with the opposition, I'm a member of the opposition and not a member of ODM, being in opposition.
Maybe to cut you short kidogo. Unaona hii group ya Linda Mwananchi, vile wanajibrand. it's like a splinter group of ODM.
No, it's not.
Ngoja nikueleze. Taking to concept vile ile happen ule wakati wa Ford. Sababu gani nakwambia hivyo? Angalia Orengo. Ukiangalia sasa wale bloggers wake wale watu wake karibu. What term are they using to describe Orengo?
The
de facto party
leader.
Exactly. De facto party leader of which party? ODM.
Let me say something.
You get that point?
Linda Mwananchi, from where I sit, is one looks at it from two ways. One, one or two. One, it's a movement of people who want to say we are running away from what is known. This young, and that's what I think Caleb Amis has been talking about. The young new generation of leadership that drives this country in a direction that is different from what we know. I think Linda Mwananchi started from that point of view.
Yeah.
And to that extent, they have brought along people from different parties. So they had people from Jubilee. I think Pauline is there. There are other people from Mwaikwasi and all that. So I think the element of young people being that a group of young people who have this different view and direction for the country coming together for that purpose. The second bit was that element of being a splinter group from ODM. Saying we do not agree with the way the party is going. We want to do something similar. That's why they picked it from Linda Ground then to Linda Mwananchi.
Yeah.
So that's how it came about. So the argument as to whether, from where is it, I don't think it's a splinter group from ODM as being the major item. Secondly, the politics of survival. Someone was telling me the easiest way to win an election in Nairobi is you have to oppose government. When you oppose government, you become automatically.
But Sakaja did not oppose government.
He's using politics in the city is two ways. There's that element of, as it has been, that element of ethnic arithmetics, coupled with being in either a party, a bigger party, and opposing government. So, and then there's a group of people who reason. And other than the fact that walingine walipiga kura sababu waliona dimples, there are people who there are people who reason. There are people who reason. And I think as at that time they evaluated and saw the guy and said, this guy looks like he could do something for us. So when you combine all that, he had an advantage as opposed to the candidate who was running against him. He was a bit new, not known that much. And then he was running a bit within government. So Sakaja had an upper hand because again he was also a senator, who wanted to be governed. So he had more name ID, alikuwa na within kuna hizo structures za chama zinamsaidia. Kulikuwa na mambo mengi pale.
Okay, so Babu before we come back to our main conversation, since we have come to Nairobi kidogo, Babu
could easily be the governor of Nairobi.
Babu
could easily be the governor of Nairobi. Easily.
Who do you think is likely to deputize Babu?
I cannot.
For the Nairobi race?
At the moment, I cannot. Deputy governors are rarely very seen. Unajua deputy governor Sakaja?
Mungu anasimjui.
Sasa. I don't know the last time I saw the deputy governor of Mombasa County. I don't know. I only know of his name. I've never seen him.
But he's been here. He's just a guy that loves riding bicycles.
I don't see him.
When
it comes to the media, because
the media, no.
The media, no.
Yeah.
So deputy governors, you can pick anybody. People don't care. As long as you have the brand, that you can go it alone. In cities, it's your brand that has more weight than the deputy. So the deputy comes in to balance interests. I think that's what works with the governor and the deputy. Exactly. But I wouldn't really care to know who is the deputy governor because they don't.
Maybe to also back up your point, it's true that they balance interests. Kwa sababu ukiangalia huyu wa hapa Mombasa, Governor Abdulswamad, Muislamu.
They balance interests. Waonekane
tu. Francis Toya, Mijikenda, Mkristo.
It's for cosmetics. It's for cosmetics. Kuja tu balance tusionekane tuko. Unajua sometimes people argue, oh, you are a male governor, pick a female deputy. It's for cosmetics. It's okay, sometimes substance, but basically cosmetics. One, the law demands that you have a deputy governor. So you must have a deputy governor.
Yeah.
Then now you just say, me, I'm a Muslim, so I need I need to look like I'm balanced. If I pick a Muslim deputy governor, then I look like I'm not being inclusive, so I need to get a Christian deputy.
Yeah.
So it's for the purposes of balancing interest,
also the Arab
the cosmetic value
Yeah.
of the deputy governor. So with regards to Babu being governor, I would say is polling very far ahead. I'm not saying I'm for anything, but I think from the people I've talked to, and number two, as to who will be his deputy, that is a discussion I think he himself knows, because the deputy is picked by the candidate.
Exactly. Maybe on the same line, from the Linda Mwananchi camp, we can also see that our very able communication strategist, Pauline, is also doing good for the women rep.
That is speculation. That's speculation.
It's okay. We'll come to that. Let's go to the main point of the presidential opposition come 2027. The people that are likely to form the outfit.
Now,
for the team that will oppose William Samoei Ruto.
Opposition is good. I will only say two things. One, at some point I talked about the culture of politics in this country, where you go even in the counties and the constituencies. If you want a seat, you just wake up and say how bad the other guy is. Build a case. It's case building. Where Leo Ruto, how did Ruto become president? He made Uhuru look bad.
Yeah.
So now he's in there. Somebody else is making him look bad. These other guys get elected. They get in there. Somebody else will come along the way and say these guys are bad. And automatically, you do a culture. I think we've used it as a culture. Yeah. So I think for them to make it a bit different is they would, beyond the hate, they should also be able to offer something beyond that hate and say, this is our vision for this country. This is what we want to provide. It's not enough to say how bad William Ruto is. He has his failures. From where I sit, there's nothing that is perfect. But it's not enough to say he's this bad and then just leave it there. You have to say, this is what I will offer. When I'm elected, this is what I stand for, and this is what I represent. In the interest of the people and not in the interest of, as a coalition, we are going to distribute positions amongst ourselves in this order. But when we are elected, your life will be better this way.
Yeah.
Si kusema sasa unajua huyu amekuwa deputy prime minister, yule amekuwa pale, tuna distribute mamlaka. Hiyo ni sawa kwa sababu mnatafuta siasa. Yeah. Lakini pia mtuambie kwamba tunachaguliwa na mkitupatia hii nafasi tutatekeleza 1 2 3. Of course bila uongo mwingi. Sababu kuna kiongozi alisema saa zingine siasa ni kupea watu matumaini. Yeah. Lakini pia wapatie realistic hope. Ya kwamba I will do this but it's realistic. Don't lie too much. Just don't lie too much.
Sasa wanapenda huo uongo.
Kuna wananchi aina mbili. Sometimes I get angry with this thing. There are population in this country. There are people who build and there are people who use. People who take. And that's why sometimes I see young people very angry. It's because I look at the people who are working hard. They are paying taxes.
Yeah.
The people who vote and the people who pay for the consequences of the decisions that are made by the people who vote are not the people who vote. Wewe unapiga kelele town, unasema ushuru imepanda. Jamaa wanachukua pesa yako, wanaenda kufanya empowerment mashambani. People in the village don't pay tax. They don't have a housing levy. They don't pay as you earn. They don't pay anything. You are the one who's paying for all those things.
Na pesa inaenda
huko. So when they get elected, and then they make decisions that come and affect you, and your money is taken back to them, and then you are like, okay, doesn't make sense. And then once the wanasiasa washamaliza kesi yako, because you are in town, you're working, and you have relatives in the village, walipewa mulo, walipewa ile bribe, wakapiga kura, then wanakufanyia black tax. Wanakuambia sasa, unajua kijana yetu, uko town, niko na mtoto yangu hapa, anadaiwa school fees. Yeah. And they black tax you twice. So they tax you twice. They make decisions that affect you without taking responsibility. Because if you tell them about accountability and the need to elect reasonable people, they will tell you, kiongozi anatoka kwa Mungu.
Huyu ni
And they summarize it there
ni
to
kijana
avoid
fulani.
to avoid taking responsibility. And so you pay for the consequences of that decision. And that is the painful reality that we are in at the moment. The people who work hard, the people who build this economy, are also the people who are frustrated as we speak. Because when utasema one term, we utasema one term ukiwa Nairobi ama ukiwa Mombasa. But you go to the village and people are like, we have no problem with one term or two term. They will vote either way, bora wamepewa shilingi 200 ama 300. So that is the problem. So as particularly as young people, and sometimes this is the reason why young people are angry. I look at my life 10, 20 years from now. I imagine myself, nimeanza biashara na mimi nakuliwa tax. Nakatwa ushuru kila kona. And then my life, because I work hard, I expect, and there is nothing wrong with wanting to live a nice life that you've worked hard for. If I'm working hard, I want to live a good life because I'm working hard to live a good life.
Yeah.
You cannot. I watched at one point the president was gaslighting the working people who walikuwa wanakataa kukatwa tax ya housing levy, anawaambia nyinyi mko na kazi, hamtaki watu wengine wapate nyumba. And I was like, but I'm working hard for these things. They're not coming in as a favor.
Unasaidia wenzako.
Unasaidia, but I'm working hard. It should be voluntary that mimi kusaidia kwangu ni kutaka kwako, si by force. Na hata nikisaidiwa kwa kusaidia venye nimesaidika, take what I am, fine, I am willing to give, but willingly, not by force. Because even the houses that people wanakatwa hizo nyumba, those houses are not being occupied by those people. They're not. You go online, wewe saa umekatwa, haya wewe ni mwalimu kwa mfano. Umepostiwa huko mashambani huko. Kama mwalimu. How do you access those houses? So the reality is the people who vote and the people who pay for the consequences are two different groups. The unfortunate bit is the people who pay for the consequences have not been voting.
Exactly. So maybe to put focus, when you raise a problem, we also have to put a solution to it.
That's what I'm saying. Young
maybe
people,
for the coming election,
young people,
what do you anticipate should be done either for the sisi kama vijana ama the parties and those persons vying pengine vile ile kujipackage kimanifesto wise kuhakikisha kwamba whatever has been happening is kama cycle, we put an end to the cycle alafu tunasonga mbele, yani kiupi yani.
And you umesema neno nzuri sana. We need to put an end to this cycle that we has been going on for a very long time, and we all know that if we continue the same way, nothing is going to change.
Sure,
nothing will change if we continue exactly the same way. And it takes us as young people, first of all, to realize that things are not okay, and everybody knows that things are not okay, and we make a necessary adjustment, first of all, to the attitude that we have towards politics, and decide to participate in that process. And I'm happy that young people, we came out, people saying tuko kadi. It's a sign that we are ready to participate in that process within the framework that is there at the moment, and go beyond that and participate in voting. And not just voting, deciding that we are also going to take part in the politics, in the process that leads up to the election. And that's where now parties come in. Because if a party tells you, if wewe umekaa mahali unasema wewe ni mtu wa DCP, for example, and you don't participate in nominating the candidate for that part, your grandmother, who doesn't want change, will go and vote for that DCP candidate who was brought by DCP, because you did not participate in deciding who should be the party's candidate. Yeah. So we have to go and get involved in the parties, reform the parties, and try and push for a conversation that not just involves us, but creates a new reality and a new way of doing politics, so that it has value for us, it has value for the people who don't really see any value, because people have given up in politics. Surely, what wamesema, democracy doesn't work. Sometimes we meet people say, democracy doesn't work.
Exactly.
It doesn't serve my interest. It is not so. People don't see value in politics. Don't want siasa. Hata saa zingine you can go somewhere and start talking politics, wasema si hapa tutake siasa, because they don't see politics as a means to better their lives, because wamedanganywa sana mpaka wamechoka. So like you've said, like I said earlier, politics and democracy is a verb. It's not a noun. We have to begin building power as young people, and we have to get along. We have to get like-minded individuals, especially the people who work.
The people who
the people who work, the workers. I'm not talking about just people who work informal settings, but even the people who do just normally. Because when you work, it means you are earning a living through work. Waking up in the morning, whether you're doing a business, whether you're going to an office. As a young person who has an ambition, who is writing a CV, umeandika CVs mpaka umechoka, you have to be involved.
Exactly. Maybe to add on that, on the issue of involvement, I was looking for this quote. I happened to attend a training somewhere at Kilwa. So Kilwa kule Shanzu by the FNF, Friedrich Naumann Foundation. And a quote was projected on the screen. It was from a guy called Bertolt Brecht. He's a Brazilian activist and playwright. So what the quote says, it rolls down to political participation. It says, the worst illiterate is the political illiterate. He does not hear, does not speak, nor participate in political events. He does not know that the cost of living, the price of beans, of fish, of flour, or rent, of shoes and medicine all depend on political decisions. The political illiterate is so stupid that he is proud and swells his chest to say that he hates politics. He does not know that from his political ignorance comes the prostitute, the abandoned child, the robber, and worst of all, the corrupt politician. So don't be political literate. Participate.
Young people have to come out and do and decide to do politics differently. Differently. I will describe one scenario. We have a politics in this country which tells you to fight things that are ideological jargon and ideologies and labels that don't have no meaning. When you are told fight something called economic oppression, instead of just saying, we need to have fair rent, we need to have rent imekuja sana. The price of this and that is, people are saying, economic oppression, we need liberation, we need this, but they are not specifics. They're just abstract statements that have no real meaning to the people. That's what I'm saying. When we're doing politics different. Sasa ukiangalia poster ya watu wanatafuta kura, iko na vitu nne huwezi kosa. Infrastructure. Poster anywhere, any county, any position they are looking for, there is word called infrastructure.
Education.
Something called education. There is, kwa sababu ya Gen Z na youth, wameleta kitu inaitwa accountability. Kila poster iko na neno accountability and governance. Kila poster iko na kitu inaitwa empowerment, youth and women empowerment. That's what I think sometimes I say that. But if you go back 5 years ago, every election tumekuwa na hizo vitu. Kitu wameongeza hii election ni ya neno ya empowerment na ya accountability na governance kwa sababu ya Gen Z demonstrations. But I think as young people we need to get into the specifics and not come and say jobs. Wametoa hiyo jobs for you. Ilikuwa kitambo walikuwa wanaweka jobs. Job opportunity, jobs for youth. Sasa wameweka women and youth empowerment. So we need to do politics in a more realistic form and be very sure, because we have a lot of challenges as young people. We have a lot of challenges.
Talking about challenges, my brother.
Yes.
I see for you.
Yes.
Unajua ukitaka faidika mzuri, mambo yako yanafaa yaongelewe ukiwa uko hapo.
Kabisa.
Si ndio? So coming to look at it, hii kura ya 2027 vile inakuja. A lot of the candidates wenye wanajitokeza vijana kwa sana. But sasa ukiangalia kidogo mimi nitakwambia playing field haiko sawa.
It's never.
Nitakupatia example. Sasa kijana hata sasa utafute pesa. Wewe uko chama gani? Tuanze tuna example leo. Wewe ni mtu wa ODM, si ndio?
Yes.
Useme unataka kusimama governor hapa Mombasa. Sawa. Governor wa Mombasa Abdulswamad ana hold position gani kwa chama?
Deputy party lead.
Wewe unaona yeye hata mkienda primaries.
Si unakuwa realistic, wewe shinda yeye.
Exactly. So wengi wata drop the cause along the way, si ndio?
Kabisa.
Mshanipata. Ama wewe ukiangalia tu hivi hizi candidates zao vile wanazipackage. Are they likely to reach the?
That's what I'm saying. Young people have to do politics differently. I was talking to a lady the other day, anatafuta kiti 2027. Kwambia you cannot play their game and win. You cannot go into a field unacheza game ya watu wengine that was designed when you are not there. And you think you can defeat them in their own game because they designed the rules. You have to define to come up with a whole new approach to the way you look at politics, the way you do politics, and the way you the kind of politics you want to bring about in this country. The reason why it is important at this time is the old rules are fading. The old guys are getting old, and they are leaving that space pole pole, one after another, wanatoka. Hata in 2032 huyu mwenye tunasema must go hatakuwa. So we need to begin to, as young people, to build a new kind of reality that we want to see post William Ruto, post all these old guys that are fading away, and the kind of system they are fading away with, so that we lay a whole new foundation that come in 2032 or 2037 or 10 years or 15 years from now, we have a kind of system and culture that works for us.
Yes, yeah.
And listens, because at the end of the day, people want leaders who can listen to them. People want leaders who care about the things that they care about. They don't want people who are just there for the purpose of, mi nimechaguliwa bana. So vijana, mimi huwa nasema, nikisema ndugu zangu vijana, tufanye siasa tofauti. Hatuwezi shindana na hawa wakubwa zetu kwa njia zao na tuwashinde, kwa sababu wako na system ambao walitengeneza, walitutangulia. Hatuwezi walaumu. Na hata baada sisi tukitengeneza yetu, kuna wengine watakuja. So if because there's
tutakuwa tuna control.
And they controlled it. So we cannot play their game and win in their own game.
Exactly. So,
and then you see there's a problem. They have a lot of gatekeeping tendencies. When they tell you, my friend, kwamba kutafuta senator Mombasa kwa mfano is 100 million, what are they telling you?
It's expensive.
They're telling you don't get in. It's a gatekeeping strategy. They tell you, oh, it's expensive. You need 10 million to be an MCA. They're telling you don't get in. Usikuje huku, we achana, weka huko. So who gets in? The people who have 10 million. 10 million wametoa wapi? Kuna mtu amekaa mahali ameweka 10 million inasubiri aende asimame mahali MCA. Hakuna. These people you see, they tell you 400 million to be governor. There's nobody who has 400 million imekaa mahali anasubiri aende asimame governor. There are people who fund them. And these people who fund them, you hear things called stalled projects. Where do you think these stalled projects are coming from? Because when it's an investment, they invest in a governor candidate. When this governor candidate wins that election, they're given tenders. Isn't it? Because they invested, they need a return on their money. So atapewa tenda 2, 3, 4, labda atafanya moja, ingine awachane nayo, aiwache katikati, and you cannot go back and tell them, we gave you a tender, you did not finish.
Exactly.
Because I gave you money to do campaigns. What are you asking me? Tafuta njia ufunike hiyo. So this is the element of accountability starts from that system of gatekeeping that prevents we as young people from getting in. So the wrong people get in, who have the connections, have whatever they have, they get funded. That funding, because he who pays the piper
controls the tune. Exactly. So talking about that, 2027 is coming, ndugu. Kama vijana tunasema to participate, vile nimehint, will you sustain till the ballot?
It's possible.
Exactly. So wewe mwenyewe binafsi,
it's possible.
Waonaje boss?
We have
tukuhesabu,
tuko na advantage. Ngoja kwanza, vijana mimi wanasema tuko na advantage moja.
Achana kama vijana, kama binafsi.
Tutasema kama vijana mwanzo. Tuko na advantage. Mimi nasema vijana wajitokeze wengi zaidi. Alafu tuko na advantage ya dunia ya sahii, iko na digital space. You just need to be a bit creative. Iko na digital. You have a podcast like this one, for example. In the 90s or in the 20s, to get on TV, my friend, ilikuwa unatumia pesa. Now you have the digital space is democratized. You can do anything on your TikTok, run. We unasimama MCA, enda TikTok piga kelele, enda Facebook piga kelele. You have a platform that you can build on. Personally, I'm also a candidate.
We wacha.
Also a candidate.
Which candidate?
I'm a candidate in Nairobi.
We wacha. Which position?
I'm running for Senator Nairobi County in 2027. I'm going to win.
Quite serious.
And we will win. And the reason I'm running is because sometimes you walk around and you see people and you listen to them and you look at the people who are supposed to deal with those issues. They don't talk about those issues. Because I look at, you sit with somebody anakuambia, hey, maisha ni magumu. Alafu unakuja mtu anakuambia, we need to go to the streets, fight oppression. Unapata mtu ako na biashara, they tell you, I have a problem with, we have too many licenses, we have a lot of corruption within, corruption around the business environment. And then you look at the people up there, they're telling you, we need to chase away William Ruto. And then what? How do you address hizi shida za mtu ambako kule mashinani?
Okay.
Ama kule nyanjani?
Okay, sir.
So I'm a candidate.
You are a candidate
for
Nairobi.
For Nairobi.
Which is a very good initiative, my brother. Personally,
I'm
kama
going to
rafiki
it.
yako, unajua tu automatically mimi nitakuunga mkono. But
going to
a question that I'll pose to you, maybe as we continue to wrap this thing up.
Mhm.
Your vision for the people of Nairobi. You can't
No,
just
I
be
want-
standing without a vision.
I want to see, at the end of the day, I want to bring value in terms of what can I do to make people's lives less stressful, in terms of being able to afford living in the city is stressful. In terms of bills, because in Nairobi people work to pay bills. You don't work to grow. You work 10 years, you're still paying bills. So na kazi yako ni kutafuta pesa ukitumia tu. Nothing meaningful comes out of it.
Yeah.
And when we are able to talk about affordability, people being able, how do we ensure we have affordability? How do we ensure that if you're being paid 100,000 a month, that money serves you properly? And that's why I have a set of proposals.
Mm.
And I'm thinking about things like rent control, because you can't just wake up, mnaishi kwa environment ambayo you wake up leo landlord unakuongezea to 30,000, unaongezewa 5,000 kwa rent, hujui ilitokea wapi, with like no adjustments to the bill. I have had people say, mimi nahamanga kwa nyumba and then I move out of a house and then wanakataa kunipea deposit yangu.
So unakalia deposit.
Landlord anakatalia deposit.
Mm.
No, in Nairobi it doesn't work like that. So in Mombasa, in other places unaweza kalia deposit. Those places unaweza kalia deposit. You refuse to pay 1 month rent, wanazima maji na wanakata steam.
Kukagiza.
So you have to protect the tenants. When you protect a tenant through the legal framework, like through things like rent controls, ile pesa alikuwa anapata, they can plan, they can have excess, they can have surplus money that they can use to invest or do other things that they can do to better their lives. Because if ukikata pesa ya mtu kwa rent, what does that mean? Umemongezea mzigo wa gharama yake, inamaanisha unaendelea kumfanya maisha yake yanakuwa magumu.
Yeah.
You have things like the cost of housing is too much. So when you're regulating things like bili ya maji, unakaa kwa nyumba wiki mbili, unaletewa unit 8. Na unit 8 ni 8,000 liters.
Una watoto wale.
Mitungi 400 ya maji. So there's a lot of issues that people, talk about. Personally, as an individual, I would want to see a politics and also use this one as a proof point, to see a politics that talks about the issues that people care about. Si mtu akae mahali badala ya kufikiria shida zake anafikiria na huyu mheshimiwa sasa maisha yake itakuwa namna gani. I don't think about it. It's the leaders who should worry more about what people care about, the things that concern people, the material needs that people are working hard to achieve their lives. How do we make their lives better? Through representation and through legislation. Hii mambo ya oversight na opposition na kusema mtu ni mbaya, mtu ni mwenda wazimu, ni sawa ni mwenda wazimu, lakini basi na mwenda wazimu wake wewe tukikupa hiyo nafasi utafanya nini?
Exactly. I get you, my brother. I look forward to your reign. Hopefully hatakupiga mawe kama wale ambao wamekuta.
Mwenye mtu unaopigwa mawe ndio mwenye matunda.
It's okay.
Nikipigwa mawe vile
ndio wenyewe uko na matunda.
I have a thick skin. I think I'll manage. And it's a process, like I've said. We start from somewhere. I know it will not be easy. You have to earn it.
Umetenga ngapi? Kuna milioni ngapi?
Money it's about what you have. You make do with what you have. You make do with what you have, not what you don't have.
Yeah.
The rest you pray to God. As you go along, mengine atajipanga polepole.
It's okay. As we wrap up,
Mm.
nipe figure and then you address your voters directly.
There's no figure.
There's no figure.
There's no figure.
But umejipanga.
We pray to God that the rest will come.
Sawa,
You start a journey and then the rest you pray as you go along.
It's okay. Maybe straight to the camera, so we head to the wrap up. Your final thoughts or your clarion call to the people that are.
So for me, I would
participate.
say, as young people, particularly this going into 2027, we first of all need to be able to come out and contest whichever positions we want to contest and share that vision of, where we want to change this country, give this country meaningful direction, so that 10 to 20 years from now, we are able to ensure that our children have opportunities that maybe some of us do not have, and be able to build a country that has a future, and that we change the way we do politics and come up with something we call new politics, a new style of doing politics, not the politics of going, the ones we see our fathers and other elders going to beg for development projects. I think it should be, it's not just a right, but it should be fairly considered that they have made their contribution. But also it's time for us to take over as young people and be involved. Let's come out and participate in the process actively and inactively as candidates and as voters. Thank you.
Okay. Karibu sana kiongozi. Once again, thank you for your time and thank you for always coming. Thank you for us always communicating and also debating a lot.
Shukran, bro.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Okay. We have come to the end of our episode, the State of the Nation Address. This has been the Mwaikwasi mic, and I'm our host, Anton Mwaikwasi, and this is the biggest political show. If you're not tuning here for political news, wherever you are lost. So keep it locked here and subscribe if you're yet to. Thank you. Till the next episode. Santeni sana.